in real estate sales. So Nayia specializes in doing creative deals and structuring, and she's a trusted consultant and strategist, and she's my neighbor, not literally my neighbor, but like maybe 30 minutes away neighbor. And Nayya's going to be walking us through, how to be able to create wealth, how to be able to deal with complex transactions, and how to be able to create your financial dream. So if you are a real estate agent, if you are a entrepreneur, a salesperson, or anybody who just wants to create wealth, this episode is for you. Welcome, Nayia. How are you?
Thank you, Dan. Yay, I'm super excited to be here and help your community show them ways where they can create wealth with more ease. My favorite word is leverage. That's one of my favorite words to use. So I'm all about working smart and not hard. So I'm excited to be here.
Damn it, I'm all about working hard and not smart. So we balance each other here.
Yeah. Listen, there's a right balance. There's a right.
I got you. I'm just teasing. I want to work smarter.
Awesome.
So Nayia, so I'm listening. That's why I invited you. So that, and I had to spend the last 24 hours. I put your name underneath my pillow so I can recognize like how to pronounce it properly. I was like, that good, beautiful Greek name. I knew I was going to struggle with it, right? So I was.
You did fantastic.
Thank you.
You know what? I'm not just Greek. I'm Spartan. I was born
Spartan.
in Sparta. Yes.
You're born in Sparta, really?
I was, and I came to the U.S. when I was 11 years old. So, and I spoke no English. So,
okay.
So yeah, it was a challenging time, let me say the least. First day of school, the bell rings, students go in classrooms, and all I have is a piece of paper on my hand. That's my class schedule, and I didn't know where to go. And then the vice principal comes walking towards me, and I just started crying, bawling. Like, imagine an 11-year-old, being in a new country, not knowing what to do, and being the first one in my family to graduate college, being lucky enough to get laid off at 23, and that's how I started my entrepreneurial career. And then I got into real estate at 24.
So you got into real estate in 24, and what did you do first in real estate?
Well, I got my real estate license just so I could learn the market here in Northern Virginia, because I was in my mid-20s. I was doing really well. I started those little kiosks at local malls and airports. People you buy sunglasses, stuff like that. I had those. That's how I started my first business. And I had a couple of those locations. In time, I was doing really well. I'm in my mid-20s.
A real estate agent?
No, that's before before I became a real estate agent. So I was in the retail industry first. I was making money, and the reason why I became an agent was so I could learn where the good market is, so I could buy properties for myself.
What was your business?
I was selling sunglasses.
Sunglasses, okay, got it.
Yeah, and then I got into jewelry. I got into when the season changed, I got into different retail stuff, winter accessories. But I was doing really well, and that helped me transition into real estate.
Okay.
And then do you remember what happened in 2009?
I do remember. I got my real estate license in 2007. So the end of 2007. So I was in the wave of the downturn.
Oh, the wave of the downturn. And what happened? So many people got out of the business, right?
Yeah.
And right when you were getting in, everyone was getting out. So for me at that time, I was a young mom. I had 2009. I had 3 little boys under the age of 5. Yeah. And I was
a young mom and a busy mom for that, right?
A busy mom for that. And my husband at the time got laid off. And I couldn't afford to go get a job because daycare would cost $2,000 per kid.
Oh, sure.
So it was like the only way
you'd be like a deficit, right?
Exactly. So the only way because this is what happened. I had my retail business. for 7, 8 years, and then I sold it right before the crash. I sold it in like 2007,
Okay.
2008. And then I said, oh, I want to be a stay-at-home mom, have kids. Okay. The market crashed. My husband at the time loses his job, 3 little kids. What do we do? How can I help my family? So I said, real estate is the only thing I know, the only industry that can give me flexibility.
Okay.
So then I met my first mentor, Dave, and he was a rehabber. He was flipping houses in Fredericksburg. And I met him and I said, can I follow you around once a week? And I did. Oh, by the way, when the crash happened, we thought, oh, let's buy a franchise. My husband thought. So we invested over $200,000 to buy a local franchise, but no one knew what the market was going to do. The economy
What was
crashed.
what type of franchise?
It was, have you heard of a franchise called Embroid Me? It was like logos doing apparel,
Okay.
clothing, and promotional products. Okay.
Got it. Okay.
And it was not doing well. It took me 6 months to realize that we were losing money. The business was making $25,000 a month. We were losing $30,000 a month.
Yeah.
Uh,
That's not comfortable.
and it's not comfortable. And it's not comfortable. And to tell you the truth, I had to put. I remember that time. I had to put mortgage payments on a credit card just so I would not get my credit hit.
Okay.
And so many people lost their homes, right? So there were a lot of foreclosures at that time, a lot of short sales. And because I was an agent since 2004, I said, how can I cut my losses? So I short sold our house. Because in 2007 it was worth 750,000. In 2010 we had to short sell it for 385.
And where was that house?
It was here in Northern Virginia.
Virginia. Okay.
Yeah.
Gainesville.
Yeah.
And so then how long were you an agent before you got investing? Or I know you're sort of doing this all simultaneously, right?
Yes, I was. So when I first got started in real estate, traditionally, as an investor, you have to put 20% down, 30% down to go to the bank and get a loan. So when I had my retail business, okay, I was, accumulating profits, my revenue there. So I was able to buy a couple of investment properties that way with 20% down. But let me ask you
Okay.
this. Can't you easily run out of money by having to do that? How many investment properties can you buy, right? So that's not something that is feasible, okay?
Yeah, it's not scalable. Yeah. It's hard to scale it.
It is. So when the market crashed and my property values dropped, okay, I said, okay, I have to shift. The real estate industry is more flexible, but what can I do? Real estate agents and mortgage lenders were going out of business at that time. Remember what was
Sure.
happening?
I remember.
Everybody's
That was
going
my
out of business.
opportunity. That was my opportunity. I told you I work harder.
So for me,
Sometimes good, sometimes not good.
well, yes, I agree. Yeah, yes, and no, depending on the situation. Listen, I work hard. I've worked hard also.
I know you do. I know you
Yeah,
do.
like I have, yeah, I've put in quite of sweat in the last 20 some years. So what I did was, okay, the people are losing houses to foreclosures. So what can I do? So I got onto the investing side where my first mentor Dave was flipping houses. Okay.
Okay.
And by me following him around once a week, I would drive to Fredericksburg, drive an hour. The kids would be in daycare at least once a week. Go to Fredericksburg, follow Dave around for the whole day, come back, do it again the following week. You know what that did for me? It took the fear away because I was able to see fire damage, houses that had fire damage, structural damage, termite, you name it. And that took the fear away. Okay. And
Got
with
it.
Dave, I learned how to use hard money lenders to buy houses. And one of the most important lessons I learned with Dave was what not to do. Because Dave was doing a lot of great things that I learned from, but he was also doing things that made me uncomfortable and it was too risky. And I came to the realization that I said, my reputation can come in the line here, and I can't be associated for much longer.
What's an example? And we
Let
only
me
have
give
his
you,
first name. We only have his first name, so so I think we can do this.
yes,
Give me an example if you could.
an example is,
And Naya, I'm so grateful. I was going to ask you his last name, but then I was like, it doesn't seem like she wants to share that, so I left it alone. Now
yes,
I understand why. All right, so give us an example if you could.
so,
What
so, so,
did
so
he do
Dave,
wrong?
Dave became a deal junkie at the time. So he had so many deals going on, and then he would, you're Peter and Paul. What's the phrase? Borrow money from Peter to pay
Yeah,
Paul?
to pay Paul. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And that's what was happening. So he was in the middle of a renovation on one property. He would use hard money lenders and private money on one property. And then he didn't have enough money to finish it, but he would start another project, borrow money for this project, okay, and
Pay
use
the
this
first.
money
Yeah,
to finish
yeah.
this one. So eventually, I found out later in down the years that he had to file bankruptcy for properties, things like that. So for me, I was so lucky and blessed to get out of at the right time, because you've heard the phrase, "When the student is ready, the teacher appears," right?
Sure, of course.
That's where I met my second mentor, Marco, and that's where I learned how to buy houses creatively. So I learned how to buy houses creatively using subject to the existing loan. Then when I learned this strategy back in 2013, and I bought my first house in Reston, okay, off of a Craigslist ad. It was a for sale by owner ad, and I paid less than $5,000. I only paid closing costs, and I took over an existing loan of 325. Okay, I felt like I won the lottery. Like I literally I had that feeling. I'm like, is this even possible? Like, oh my God, I don't have to use hard money lenders. Because let me tell you one thing. I had a lot of pain and a lot of fear because the market had crashed, right? And my family and I lost our home. We had to short sell our house, okay? And I didn't tell you this pain story. Having a nice 4,500 square foot home that was built with a builder, I built it myself. It was worth 750K, and having to short sell it for 380, and then moving into a condo, okay, that you have to go up 4 flights of stairs, okay, with 3 kids under 5, and carrying groceries and carrying a baby in the care. That was very painful. So living that experience and being afraid to sign my name on a personal guarantee, because that's what hard money lenders required me to do, right? Since learning how to flip houses. So for me, this strategy felt like, oh my God, this is a godsend. Like I won the lottery. I don't have to sign personal guarantees anymore. So I'm not gonna lose my rental properties if something goes south.
Walk us through how you did that.
Sure. How about my first property? Is the
Yeah,
first creative property?
the one in Reston. Yeah.
Yeah, the one in Reston. So I had a virtual assistant from the Philippines that I was paying $5 an hour, and she called for sale by owners for me. Okay.
Okay.
And I got the lead. Okay. I called the homeowner, and he and his wife were in the middle. They were pregnant. They were expecting their second kid, and they were building another house in Reston, a single family house. So I scheduled an appointment. I went to talk to him, and based on my comps, I did comparables. I did a similar presentation to what a listing agent does. But
Okay.
but instead of me wanting to list a house, I did an evaluation that said, okay, let me see what I could do for me to purchase your property. Okay, so let me walk you by numbers. So he had the house on the MLS with an agent for like 385,000 at the time, like 2013, right?
Okay.
It didn't sell. Let me tell you why. It had a it had a green bedroom, it had a purple bedroom, and it had those plastic accordion type closet doors.
Well, those are
Right?
my favorite.
Yeah, those are my favorite. So because of that, that's what deterred potential buyers, right? It was a turn
Sure.
off. But to me, I was like, oh, no big deal. That's easily fixable. Keep in mind, I had experienced, working with Dave.
Yeah.
Remember? So
Yeah.
I had seen
You've
everything.
seen the fire, the paint and the accordions don't bother you at all.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, paint doesn't bother me. Yeah, accordion plastic, no big deal. So when I did my numbers, okay, and I said to him, since we're not working with real estate agents directly, even though I was an agent at the time, I said, I'm not planning to list the property. So if we take out commissions and closing costs, the most I will be able to pay you is 90%, up to 90% of the fair market value. Because when you take out, 6% on each side, not 3% on each side, and then closing costs another 2 to 3%, sellers usually get around 90% of the net, right?
Sure.
90% of the
Yeah.
listed price.
Yeah.
So when we did those numbers, and then we took into consideration the loan he had currently, which was $325,000, okay? He agreed to sell his house for what he owed on the loan.
Okay.
And like the exact number was like 323, something like that. And he got $1,500 from me at closing, and I paid the attorney fees and title company fees. And I bought that house for like $4,600. So he moved out, okay? What I did in return, my exit strategy was I did a lease with an option to buy. So I found a tenant. I call them tenant buyers. I found someone who was able to rent the property for me, and I gave them an option to buy it, okay, for a $400,000 price, right? Because
Okay.
they gave me $10,000 down as a non-refundable option consideration. You're following me?
I'm with you.
Okay, so guess what happened? The year goes by, and my tenant did not exercise his option because he had a job relocation. Okay, but what was he doing every month? Paying rent, which was paying the mortgage,
Sure.
right? So that mortgage payment was being paid, and what happens every time you make a mortgage payment? A portion of it goes down to principal.
Small
So
portion at the beginning. Depends where you are in the loan, but yes.
yeah, and depends on the interest rate of the loan, right?
Yeah.
In the last 15 years, interest rates have been low, 5% or less. I have bought houses that interest rates are 3%. And then
Sure.
I've bought houses like this. So what I did was, okay, since he didn't exercise his option to buy it, then I listed it. Like I made an update to a bathroom. I did some patio work outside, and a little bit of like a roof replacement, and I sold it for 410,000. Okay, so in 18 months from the time I bought it to the time I sold it, okay, I made a profit of about $76,000.
I'll take it.
And I didn't have to do a full rehab on it. I didn't have to use hard money lenders. Okay, that is why I'm so passionate in teaching, real estate agents in particular how to do this, because they can still provide solutions to sellers, okay, that many times are faster, okay, allowing the seller to move on with their life, okay, and they're building wealth at the same time. And it's a
I love
win-win.
it. Are there certain loans that you are not able to do a subject to with?
That's a very good question. So I have done subject to with all types of loans. I've done with VA loans, FHA loans, okay, conventional loans. Now, this is the scenario. If someone has a VA loan, and if I buy their property, but subject to with a VA loan, they won't be able to get another VA loan until I sell the
Locked in.
house.
Yeah.
So I'd let them know. And sometimes I have not been able to help those sellers out because they said, no, I need cash so I can use my VA benefits.
Sure.
But many times those sellers can get another conventional loan, or they say, you know what, I'm relocating and I'm going to rent for a couple of years, so I don't really need my VA benefits. So it has not been an issue. Something that else that comes up is, depending on the state, you may or may not be able to get title insurance on a VA
Okay.
loan or an FHA loan. And because I just recently bought a couple of properties in Texas, and there were VA loans, and I was still able to close with an attorney, but I did not get title insurance.
Okay.
But there were newer properties, the loans were in place, I wasn't worried. I always tell people, always get title insurance, when you can. But in that scenario, we were not able to do that.
How can somebody learn more about what you do? If I'm a real estate agent, I want to learn more about, creative financing and being able to structure innovative deals. What would I do to be able to get in touch with you?
So you could go to wealththroughrealestate.com, and then it's wealth and then THRU, okay, realestate.com. And I also have a Facebook community called Wealth Through Real Estate, and it's off-market properties, DC, Virginia, Maryland. So they can find us there. And we do live trainings every couple of weeks where people can ask questions on how I've been doing real estate deals like this throughout the country. And I have experience in this in such a way where I've helped investors all over the country. I became a national coach in 2015. So I have had hundreds of students all over the country, from New York to California to Florida, Chicago, all these different markets. So I'm familiar with what they're looking for, and I could definitely help them out.
What's the biggest thing that you see is a difference between the markets? Is there a commonality of a difference between different markets?
Commonality, every market is a little different. I feel like in our area here in the DC metro area, we're in a bubble. We're protected. There's a lot of money in this area. Our effect compared to other markets is our pain. Will not be as bad as some other markets. Now, prices vary. When you're looking at California and New York, their prices are much higher. Okay, so investors have to either be playing with bigger numbers, which again, it's
Sure.
numbers as long as they're comfortable with numbers, or look at other markets where they can leverage.
Love it. Nayia, say that website one more time before we take off, before we part ways.
Okay, it's wealththroughrealestate.com, wealth and then THRU through realestate.com. And if you go /free gift, I have a PDF that you can download where you can learn more about how to structure creative deals. Okay, the misconceptions about doing deals like that, and you'll get more information on learning how to leverage to create wealth and go from just making commissions to making big profits. That's my biggest thing. I want to help investors put on the investor hat or have more tools in their toolbox so then they can do more for themselves and their families.
I love it. Nayia, thank you so much for your time. You are a blessing.
My pleasure.
Real estate agents, community who are watching this, have the best day of your life. Be grateful, make good choices, go help somebody, and